Hello, I'm David Chaston with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week, get everything you need to know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock with news Australia's had an embarrassing loss at the World Trade Organization. But first, the US budget deficit for the year to November came in at a whopping $1.02 trillion and 16% deeper than the same period a year ago. In fact, this deficit is now more than double the level the current administration inherited 3 years ago. And the US Fed delivered no surprises with its on-hold review, although it did note that while their economy is growing moderately at present, business fixed investment and exports remain weak. Neither bonds nor their currency reacted. The Fed seems to have no appetite to make any changes soon. American consumer inflation came in marginally higher in November than expected at 2.1% and at the Fed's target. This is a rise from 1.8% in October. The higher levels are driven by medical costs, which rose 5.3% in the year, and rent, which rose 3.3%. And real average hourly wages are unchanged in November from October. In fact, they haven't shifted in 4 months. For the full year, real wages rose only 1.1%, and that's the lowest rate of increase in more than a year. Meanwhile, a final decision on new US tariffs on China, which are expected to be delayed, is now in the hands of the US president, and basically anything could happen. There is no Phase 1 deal despite ongoing talks, and mistrust is high. And in another sign global trade is slowing, airline profits are on course to fall faster than expected in 2019. In Australia, consumer sentiment in November dropped rather sharply and is now 9% lower than this time a year ago. This result will disappoint the Monetary Authority as it came after the September rate cut and pre the holiday spending, and post their big tax cut. And the expectation was all these would have bolstered consumer sentiment. It is not the case, however. And Australia has been exposed as an exponent of double standards when it comes to trade. The World Trade Organization has rejected how it protects domestic manufacturers with tariffs, saying it applies its own rules unfairly. This case opens up a raft of new claims for access by a range of nations, including those who want to export steel to Australia. They are in for an uncomfortable, shifty time, as they are revealed as only supporting free trade when it suits them. US Treasury 10-year yield is at 1.81% and down 4 basis points overnight. Gold is now at $1,471 an ounce and up $7 overnight. US oil prices are lower today, now under $59 a barrel, and the Brent benchmark is now well under $64 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar is marginally higher today at 65.7 US cents. On the cross rates were slightly lower at 95.7 Australian cents, but against the euro we're back up to 59.2 euro cents. That puts the trade-weighted index firmer at 70.8. I'm David Chaston. That was 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.